You are live in the Wealth Development Club. This is Johnny Wimbrey. I appreciate your time. Listen, I'm super excited about today. Today I'm interviewing a very good friend of mine. He is known as the Thrillionaire, the author of the best-selling book, The Thrillionaire, Mr. Nik Halik from Australia. Stand by. You got 2 minutes and 25 seconds to spread the word. Tag your friends, tag your business partners. You don't want to miss this. We're going to talk about how do you turn your life into the 5-day weekend. You heard me right. The 5-day weekend. The multi-million-dollar man himself, international success phenomenon, Mr. Nik Halik, live in 2 minutes. Spread the word. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Johnny Wimbrey, you are live in the Wealth Development Club. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We're going live in 1 minute and 33 seconds from right now. I got Nik Halik in the studio. You do not want to miss this interview. Spread the word. We're talking about the 5-day weekend. How to live the life of a 5-day weekend. You heard me right. We're not playing around. We'll see you in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Spread the word. You are live in the Wealth Development Club with Johnny Wimbrey. We got about 45 seconds. This is Johnny Wimbrey. You are live in the Wealth Development Club. Stand by. We're going live. I got Mr. Nik Halik in the studio. Super excited about this interview. This guy and I, we've been around the world together and made millions together, created wealth stories together with individuals just like you. You don't want to miss it. The 5-day weekend. The Wealth Development Club with Johnny Wimbrey. We're going live in 25 seconds. Here's a sneak preview of Nik Halik. Stand by. 10 seconds. Spread the word. You're not going to want to miss this.
Do you currently love what you do? Are you doing what you love? Have you designed a life you don't need a vacation from? Why slave away at a desk performing energy-deficient work and regurgitating email responses all day? Working a 40-hour work week in a cubicle, office space, or factory floor never does really feel like freedom for anybody. Most workers feel that their life is put on hold and that their job doesn't allow them to enjoy the rest of their life. Being at the mercy of an employer who has the capacity to fire you anytime and dictate how you spend your 8 hours each day. Sadly, the biggest casualty of 40-hour employment is time and money, and the fact that you will never earn your way to financial freedom. If you're born poor, it's not your mistake. But if you die poor, it is your mistake. Discover the 5-day weekend formula, freedom to make your life and work rich with purpose. With a 5-day weekend lifestyle, you can declare your entrepreneurial independence and earn your freedom. It's an entirely new outlook on life. You take an extended time out of your daily life to travel the world on your own terms, often becoming location and freedom independent. 3 more days of freedom. A 5-day weekend life is an unconventional way of looking at life. It's not a trend, but a value adjustment. A 5-day weekend life isn't about finding yourself. A 5-day weekend is about creating yourself. Your entrepreneurial 5-day weekend quest for freedom affords you the declaration of economic self-rule with unlimited earning possibilities. Are you ready to turbocharge your 5-day weekend life and live your true financial potential? Know the rules of the money game and play it better than everyone else. Keep more money, make more money, grow more money. Add 3 more days to your weekend. Learn how at 5dayweekend.com.
Hi, this is Johnny Wimbrey, and I want to invite you to step into the Wealth Development Club with me. I'm committed to awakening your inner wealth and increasing your financial wealth at the exact same time. So stay focused and join me in the Wealth Development Club with your host, Johnny Wimbrey. Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, you are live in the Wealth Development Club, Studio 126. I have an incredible honor and pleasure of introducing not just one of my closest friends on the planet, a mentor to me. We've done business around the world together.
Around the world in multiple countries.
Just multiple countries.
12 years.
Over 12 years. What's that, a dozen?
Yeah.
A dozen years. But this man right here is just an absolute phenomenon in terms of just pushing people into their destiny. And I can honestly tell you that I've learned so much from this young man across the globe. And he is none other than my brother from another mother, Mr. Nik Halik.
Awesome, man. Great to see you.
Thank you, man. Honored to have you in my studio.
Thank you.
This is the guy that is the unpredictable man on the planet. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. One day, I was off to Cancun, Mexico. And I think I was living in Hollywood at the time.
Spontaneity, baby.
Yeah, and he says, so where are you going to be staying? And there's a side of me that says, he's going to show up. and you know, previously, I mean, his book before the one we're going to talk about right now is called The Thrillionaire. And in no shape, form, or fashion is that an exaggeration when we're talking about Nik Halik. So here I am. I think I'm on night number 3. I'm in Cancun by myself, just enjoying time. I think I was writing my book at the time.
Yeah.
And I hear a knock on the door. It's after midnight, and we're in Mexico, 5-star resort. Who is knocking at my door after midnight? And I go to the door. I can't see through the peephole because somebody's fingers on the peephole. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm from the hood, right? I'm not opening no door if I can't see who it is.
Quick, let's go out.
And all of a sudden I hear security. And I'm like, can you remove your finger so I can see you? And then I hear that laugh.
Yep.
I hear that laugh, and there you have it. There's Nik Halik. So, in a nutshell, that's how I describe my friend, the unpredictable, the guy who pops up. He's in my studio today because he's popping up. Last time I saw you, I believe we were in Florida. Before
Southeast
that,
Miami.
Southeast Miami, hanging out with a few friends, the mentors, doing roundabout sessions, talking about taking over the world. And before that, I believe we were in Australia. We did a tour.
Yep.
Tour in Australia, and then we did Singapore.
We did too.
I don't think I've ever done 5 cities, 2 countries, 2 continents in 5 days with anybody else on the planet other than you.
Yeah.
So Nik, man, you got a new book.
New book. A lot of fun.
And
but 2 years in the making, obviously. You know, there's a whole movement about this particular book, but it's exciting because everyone lives a 5-day work week, but what if you change the paradigm shift to like a 5-day weekend?
There you have it.
Adding 3 more days to your weekend.
There you have it. The 5-day weekend. And most of you who know me, I'm all about lifestyle. I'm all about showing people, you know, how to walk in their true greatness without just throwing their life away. So the 5-day weekend, but you got to check out the back. Add 3 more days to your weekend. How's that possible?
It is, definitely. Look, first of all, it ain't going to happen overnight, but it all starts with this, right? The traditional role for most individuals, right, is they get a job, and everything revolves around their job, you know? And if you do so, I mean, basically you're going to get stuck in like, you know, getting paid by the hour,
right?
You know, and your income is capped. You know, it's the trappings of life, consumer-led capitalism, you're servicing debt, and then you take on credit cards, and now credit cards are perceived as supplemental income.
Yeah.
And you don't really have a lifestyle anymore. So a 5-day weekend is just basically flipping it, where everything revolves around your life. And everything revolves around this, as opposed to revolving around your job, it revolves around your life. And you don't become overly subscribed to you know, everything else in your life, which basically means you're now overly obligated to everybody else and you fail to appease yourself. So a 5-day weekend sort of changes the paradigm shift, as opposed to like living a 5-day work week, for example. And you need to go back into history, how the whole 5-day work week was actually sort of created in the first place. Because the whole concept of a job never really existed 100 years ago. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know, the whole concept of a job is really about 120 years old. But prior to that, what were we doing as, you know, humanity? What were we doing?
We're living, eating off the land.
We were hustlers, we were entrepreneurs, we were
Yeah.
like merchants, for example. We were out there doing it. In other words, we weren't reliant on anybody but ourselves.
Right.
In other words, we've given up control of our lives and we've given up control of our financial liberties and our economic freedom.
Sure.
Because now we work Monday to Friday. Most individuals, they get paroled for the weekend.
They get parole for the weekend.
Yeah, so they work Monday to
Wow.
Friday, they get parole for the weekend. Friday, they're ecstatic, they're exuberant. Why? Because it's the end of the work week. And you've even got like a restaurant franchise called Thank God It's Friday to celebrate being paroled for the weekend. So Saturday, you go, relax, did emotional purge. Sunday, you're depressed because you're thinking about going to work the next day, which is a Monday. And Monday is the #1 day for suicide in the world. Why is that?
Wow.
We're exuberant, invigorated on a Friday, ecstatic, but on a Monday, we're depressed and suicidal.
And more heart attacks happen on Monday morning before 9 a.m.
Yeah. But the thing is, apart from the emotional foundation, the spiritual side, you pay yourself last.
Yep.
You get paid by the hour, and that's assuming you have a job. And in most places of employment, there's no guaranteed contract of employment.
Wow.
Nobody has a guaranteed contract of employment, and you're basing everything around your job because that is a nucleus, and you revolve around that. So what if you
Yeah.
lost your job? 100% of your income, it's active, it's reliant on that. You lose your job, your family, your credit card, your bills, your car, your mortgage, your house, your kids, their education.
So this book is a major disruption. This is a
Absolutely.
major disruption
But
to
there's a
the way we've been
step-by-step
programmed.
approach. Exactly.
We've been programmed to believe. When I met you, was it
2006, London.
London, England, 2006. I get off stage. I walk to the back of the room, and there's this kid sitting at the table. And I say
There's a kid.
because he's always looked like you.
I'm actually older than Johnny.
You're older than me, but he's just sitting there, and you're. It's not even. You didn't even exercise, your authority or your strength. You just sat there and looked at me and said, "Do you want to go on tour?"
I did.
and I'm thinking to myself, well, who is this guy? He didn't even stand up.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that year, 2006, within 12 months of meeting you, I would have my first $1 million year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have my first $200,000 day on stage in Australia
Yep.
because of the mindset that you've been teaching around the world. And back in those days, you called it Money Masters.
Yeah.
And you attracted audiences around the world. This book right here, I believe I came to Australia and we did a tour together, and you called it the 5-day weekend.
Back then it was, 2014 was the 5-day weekend tour we did.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not knowing that it would become a book one day,
Yeah.
but here's the thing.
Right? Behind the scenes, I was running the events as a focus group in relation to what content people wanted to see in a book.
Wow.
So I ran it
and
as
that
a-
was 2014.
Yeah, I ran the content as a focus group because, see, here's the thing. You don't write a book, in relation to what you want to teach. Ask individuals what are the most pressing things in their life.
Absolutely.
From an emotional, from the spiritual, from the family. See, we become so reactionary to other people's agendas in life. We basically, we overly oversubscribe and we're emotionally obligated to everybody else and we fail to look after ourselves. You go into business, right? You pay everybody else and you pay yourself last. You buy a business, you're 100% accountable for it, 100% reliant, it's all on you. You're running an adult daycare center. All the stress, right?
Absolutely.
Or you're working for somebody else. And like I said, you're maximizing their return whilst they minimize yours. You're working hard enough for work so you don't get sacked, and the employer's going to pay you just enough so you don't quit. Where's the logic? How about buying back control? And like I said before, we were all entrepreneurs, but what happened? We were all entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Well, merchants. Thousands of years ago, you want to go back to biblical times? There weren't any JRBs. Everybody was an entrepreneur. And if the economy sucked in your respective area or country, you would jump in a ship, go to the next port, and barter and trade.
Wow.
They were entrepreneurs. So our ancestors were all entrepreneurs. But we've become, what's happened? Academia proliferated and indoctrinated individuals into a 5-day work week. Why? I'll tell you why. We went to school 8 hours a day, 5 days a
5 days a week.
40 hours a week. So that was your apprenticeship to getting a job.
So the program had started way before we even knew that it was going on.
Yeah, it was an apprenticeship. And you know what? Academia was simply a factory, assembly plant for the sole purpose of producing what? Taxpayers. That's all it was. Where you lose control of your life and the trappings of capitalism, You take on debt. Now you live in what? Fear. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The fear of losing your house, your car, your lifestyle.
Wow.
And then when you're not making enough in your job, because, hey, you've got the trappings of consumerism, you take on credit card debt. And now credit card debt at $1.4 trillion in this country over here. And now it's perceived as what? Supplemental income.
Supplemental income, yeah. What drives you? What drives you to care that other people can live a 5-day weekend? I'll be honest with you, for me, I've lived this lifestyle for quite a long time.
Absolutely.
And there has been a certain level of guilt. Not guilt like I feel bad about it. Guilt because I see other people looking busy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they're productive, but they look busier than I am, although I may be wealthier than they are, but they look busier than I am. And it makes me feel like...
The difference is you've optimized your life on your terms.
So I can accept this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not feel guilty about it.
Look, I've seen you. You've worked hard for what you've got right now.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of individuals who live a life of business. And the fact is, busy people don't make any money. See, I'm all about this. You love to travel.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest attribute that you can actually provide for your family, because you've probably been to like about 90 countries. But you've done it not just as a single individual, but with your family.
My family's been all over the world.
That's the foundation. I mean, the more you travel, the more you become more higher emotional EQ.
Absolutely.
But it's also the foundation in relation to what you desire in your life.
You become conscious too.
Yeah.
You become conscious of the possibilities of expanding outside of your own circle.
You raise your level of awareness.
Yes. So I want to reintroduce the question that I ran over. Yeah. What is your why, your purpose? Like, why do you care that these people have a 5-day weekend? What do you get out of exposing this lifestyle to ordinary people?
Easy. I want to destroy the 5-day work week paradigm, because it's a bullshit syndrome. It was created by the system to indoctrinate and to institutionalize us.
Wow.
And I'm telling individuals over here, this 5-day weekend has already existed. Now, when I say 5-day weekend, am I insinuating you become lazy and drinking margaritas, No, I'm not talking about that. But you can balance your time by optimizing it, by seeking leverage. So, for example, I travel around the world, right? I orchestrate my life and all my businesses from my cell phone.
Oh, absolutely. I saw you before we even got started recording today.
Have you ever been to like an orchestra? You have the conductor with the baton. Well, this is my baton. And I've got individuals, in your orchestra pit that are specialists at the specific skills and whatever you. So I highlight my strengths and I outsource my weaknesses. So what I do, I'm a visionary. I create product and I create services to individuals. I find a need in the marketplace and I provide real-time solutions. And my goal, my objective is to illuminate, to provide a path, to be like a lighthouse, be like a beacon of light, just like what you do, and to inspire individuals that there is a way. But I'm not just saying, throwing out like obscure strategies, for example. I'm giving you like a step-by-step, a methodical approach, and it starts with keeping more money, okay? Most individuals, they make the money, but you know that you can legally repatriate money that is illegally owed to you. I'm talking about in the thousands of dollars by keeping more money. Next, learn how to make more money, whether it's a side gig or a side hustle, And with technology, where it's at right now, there's a myriad of ways that one can create a side income, whether it's like Amazon or Shopify or creating a social media agency or being a consultant based on your skill and just monetizing your skill level.
Okay.
I'll give you another example over here. Right now, websites, think of businesses back in 2000. Like 90% of businesses in the year 2000 never had a website. Now, most businesses have a website, but how many of them today have an app to their business? Where they can reach out their clients with push notifications, and say, hey, I'm sending out this now is within 1 meter reach of you, 24/7. But imagine having a client base or a list of customers carrying a phone and they get a message from your business.
So question, was a 5-day weekend realistic 30 years ago?
No.
Okay.
Yep.
So what makes it a reality today versus
it's
our
the technology
parents?
side.
Technology.
Give us more entrepreneurial ways to generate income. Look, you can go out there, drive Uber for 4 or 5 months, and you'll pay off, and you'll have a $30,000 brand new vehicle. If you have a car in your garage doing nothing, it's just rusting away, you can actually rent out your car to people who want to drive it for Uber and generate thousands of dollars. My point is, there's so many ways to generate an income over here. Social media over here. How many businesses have no way of marketing on Instagram or Facebook over here? If you have that skill set, but even if you didn't have the skill set, you can outsource somebody else to do it. You go out there, you find the work, charge each business about $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Or 10 clients, that's $30,000 a month. That's over $300,000 a year. For doing what? And you can do this while traveling around the world over here. I mean, think about it. Find your skill set, find what's in demand, and what you're most passionate about.
I think that the big thing for the audience right now that's watching this is to understand that it's revolutionary.
Yeah.
It's not an old message with a new theme. It's a new message with a new theme, and it's really because of technology and what exists. Yeah. And I've seen you just absolutely just take control of industries from the other side of the world. You would call me out of nowhere and say things like, hey man, I've got connections in the Philippines right now. Yep. I want to help market you. I want to help your branding. I want to help get you to another level. Absolutely. So you're constantly going around the world, but leaving different parts of the world with new strategic business partners in place.
Because every country is reaching its peak at different times. See, here's the thing. We all log online. Wow. But why is our thinking so local-nomically orientated? In other words, we just think about a local community. But when you log online, you're a global citizen.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, I did a tour in West Africa, would have been about a year and a half ago. And then within 3 months of that, I started up a new business in West Africa.
Sure.
Never been there in my life. But you know what? Within 3 months, I saw a need. I created a product with consultants as a solution provider to their actual problems in real time.
I got a confession for you because when we were touring, I would watch you. And I would watch you like a little puppy, like a little student. And I remember that we went to Israel for the first time.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I've never made money in Israel. And I don't want to just make money one time in Israel. I want to make money when I leave Israel. I want to create something that's going to grow when I leave. And remember, I pulled you in the back of the room. Yeah. You gave me permission to do a joint venture with you and share something.
You took massive action.
Massive action.
In the last decade, you have created a legacy in Israel. You were in Jerusalem. We're talking about the heartbeat.
Remember Nazareth?
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember that. But the heartbeat of religion. We're talking about
absolutely.
We're talking about a history over here. And you've created a legacy over here. You've inspired, you've transformed thousands of lives in Israel, just alone there.
Just us partnering up together and doing things. Listen, this is really about your income following the sun. Yeah. Most people only make money in their own time zone.
Most people make money from 9 a.m. Monday up to 5 p.m. on a Friday.
Your money is following the sun.
Yeah,
your income is following the sun. And not only that, you've helped create millionaires.
Yeah.
I can say that since I've met you, without question, there are companies that I've helped grow exponentially and globally because of that one meeting that you and I had.
Absolutely.
And here I am sitting with you today, over $500 million would it be? Over $500 million in revenue since the day we met by using the principles that you were teaching on stage back in those days. And I made my first $1 million within 12 months. My first 12 months of ever making $1 million was with you. And I remember you articulated the words out loud. Stick with me. You'll have your first $1 million year.
I gave you certainty and that definitive why and $1 million within 12 months. But here's the thing, most individuals, you have to extend the runway to your life and expand the bandwidth of your thinking, by developing more faculty over here. But a lot of it's just like, when you start to think more global, you see, I think the word international now is very passé, it's very outdated. See, we're heading to like a global type scenario over here where you need to operate on a global level, have products and services, have clients all around the world over here. Because when you're sleeping, it's daytime somewhere else. The sun is shining, So,
absolutely.
How are you going to how are you going to fertilize and monetize your life by having and inspiring individuals worldwide? See, you've created a legacy. And I think what this book is, it's my body of work, my legacy, because I want to inspire and I want to break down the 5-day work week because it was something that was created, something that's been marinated. If you're a parent, look, the best thing you can do is travel school your children.
Absolutely.
Teach them about life. Emotional IQ. You forget about IQ for the first decade. Teach them emotional IQ, self-esteem, belief system, their drive, their ambition. You know, what is the why?
100%. 100%. I took my children to Rome, and we did a cruise, and we went to Ephesus in Turkey.
Yeah.
We went to, we saw the Colosseum, and I was amazed on how intrigued they were. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, they're 13 and 15 at the time. They're not going to take this serious. They're not going to appreciate it. But they caused me to slow down to appreciate things that I didn't think. Why? Because they were seeing things with their own eyes that they've been learning about in the now.
Yeah.
And to me, that is something that they'll never forget. I can buy them a car. I can buy them shoes. I can do things for them that they'll forget.
Yep. Materialism does that. But you know what? Experiential living, that's what it is.
Absolutely.
That's the key to life, experiential living. Go out there, take massive action. You know, travel the world. It's a mosaic. I mean, how varied are the colors in your mosaic? Most individuals, it's like black or gray or white. I mean...
Wow.
You know, it's building upon that kaleidoscope. I mean, it's your life. I mean, look, in 40 or 50 or 60 years' time, you're going to stop breathing. You're going to be fertilizing daffodils. Congratulations. But how will the average person be remembered? You know, within the first 30 days, you're going to be an absolute hit. People are going to visit you at the cemetery. But how many individuals...
The first 30 days, you're going to be a hit?
Yeah, you're going to be like... you're going to be oversubscribed with people opting in, right? But think of this, right? 5 months later, a year later, how will you be remembered?
Wow.
You know, I mean, that's where I'm thinking. Like, it's like, look.
You want to be remembered for the one who disrupted.
Yeah. Get your shit together in life and then pivot to something greater than yourself. Something that will continue, you know, once your life has expired. And the thing is, we only get one crack at this. You know, and look, I grew up on Ferris Bueller. You know the movie Ferris Bueller?
Yeah.
Great movie, right? But he said one particular line, I just love it. He goes, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you're going to miss it.
You're going to miss it.
You know, how many individuals, you know,
wow,
they get caught up in capitalism. You know, they've got so much shit and so much junk in the house, and now you go to the garage, it's just full of boxes. It's crazy in America. You don't see any cars in the garage anymore. Why? All you see is just boxes of
stuff.
crap, shit, things made in China. And then when there's so much junk and boxes in the garage, their life is so congested, they get a storage unit.
Yep. Guilty.
There's an epidemic of storage units in America. Why? Because America is hooked on buying what? Junk. See, all these liabilities. Invest in assets. Assets generate more passive income.
Yeah.
If you're sick in bed for one entire year, where's your income? There's no guaranteed contract of employment. You know, if your credit card debt, your mortgages and what have you, who's going to service that? If your partner's pregnant, you've got 3 kids. Hopefully by then, you've changed the paradigm where your children are no longer liabilities, but they're assets. Why? Because you've equipped them and you've taught them about what? Business.
Wow.
Entrepreneurialism. Teaching kids on Amazon, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, look, online entrepreneurialism does not discriminate. You can be a 12 or 13-year-old and sell things on Amazon.
Oh, 100%.
You don't have to hold any inventory. You can basically drop shipment. I mean, by finding what people need and just simply what? Servicing a demand. And anybody can do that.
Anybody can do it.
This
Absolutely.
here,
change the game.
we have more access and more power in this than what Bill Clinton had in the Oval Office in the 1990s. And it's within 1 meter of us every day. What are we doing here? Are we just posting on social media?
Right.
Or are we using this as a business device over here? I mean, this is a global hub. I can communicate with anybody around the world. This is my business. I don't have an office.
So anybody who's on social media that's following someone else,
Monetize it.
you got to monetize it.
Monetize it.
Maybe they're following the people who already have this mindset. Yeah. So who's this book written to? Who's qualified to take this information and make it applicable in our life?
Anybody wants to dismantle credit card debt. Anybody wants to start investing in assets. Anybody wants to start to think a little bit more entrepreneurial, to start to work for themselves. Because here's the thing. You're either working on your own life or you're working on somebody else's life. It's either your agenda.
Hold on, don't run over that. That was good. Hold on. You're either working on your own life or
you're working on somebody else's life. You're either working on your agenda or you're basically working towards somebody else's agenda.
Wow.
And
so you're either building your dream or you're building somebody else's dream.
I mean, it's your brand or you're building somebody else's brand. I mean, who's the most qualified person? Who's the most unique individual in the world? It's you. It's always been you.
Wow.
But once again, academia has stripped that from us. We've been stripped back to basics, and unfortunately, we've become a lot more subservient. Mm-hmm. In other words, the emotion of being reliant on somebody else other than ourselves. And most individuals don't really have, They have no emotional skin in the prosperity of our lives. And unfortunately, we go to academia, we don't get taught about finances, about money, about business, about investing, about being an entrepreneur. But we get taught irrelevant subjects that have nothing to do about furnishing and servicing prosperity in our lives. And what happens? We've been designed. The system has been created so we purposely trip over and start borrowing and get caught up in consumer debt.
Absolutely.
And now you have to service that debt by doing what? Working. And what does the average individual do? Okay, I need an extra job. I'm going to work 50, 60 hours a week. The universe will only provide you 168 hours a week. And if you're working 70 or 8 hours a week, where do you get time to sleep or spend time with your family and your friends?
Absolutely. So busy is not necessarily productive.
No, I despise individuals who live a busy lifestyle. See, I am optimized. And when you're optimized, you understand the leverage of time. Because time, the richest person in the world, Jeff Bezos, is worth $115 billion. He can't buy back time.
Wow.
But if you optimize yourself, you can start to allocate and you start to aerate and ventilate the most important things that are in your life.
So question, as you're talking, I'm starting to have like past realities, and it's starting to catch up with me right now, because when I met you back in 2006,
12 years ago, man.
12 years ago, you were already living this type of lifestyle, because I used to watch you, and when I'm around you, you were incredibly productive. But then I would go online or I would call you and you're like, hey man, I'm traveling through space, or I'm going to be off the grid for the next 8 months because I have to learn Russian so I can read, the manuscripts or whatever when I get into space. Like you were, and I think to myself, how in the hell does he have time to do all of this?
Yeah.
How do you have time to have lunch on the Titanic in the bottom of the ocean? Like, how do you have time to do this? And now I'm really starting to understand this is nothing new for you. This is something new you're bringing to the rest of the world.
Yeah, this is 27 years in the making. The thing is, look, I'm in the trenches probably 3-4 months a year. The rest of the time, I'm just traveling around the world. I've been to 150 countries, but I get my greatest ideas and I streamline my business by aerating your mind. I mean, when you take time out, seek solitude. I love mountain climbing. Why? Because it's a tech detox from this. You don't get congested. I mean, every Sunday now, even when I'm in my zone of I'm in the dial, I turn off my phone on a Sunday. I don't look at emails. I write, So our lives become this almost like this reactionary agenda where we have to respond to people.
Absolutely.
And what happens? We fail to what? Ventilate and think. See, the most critical thing in life is the faculty of thinking. When you're so congested, how can you think? Because we become what? So institutionalized. But for me, I travel 8 months of the year, and 4 months I'm actually building new businesses. And what I do is, when I build a business, I don't want to work in that business. I find a good quarterback to run it. Find your good quarterbacks. They run it. They report to you. It's your ideas. You're the visionary, but find a good quarterback who loves to be in the trenches. And that's what I do. I have multiple businesses. Do I work in them? No.
I'm going to throw a couple quotes at you, and I want you to respond to the quotes. 97% of the world work for the 3% that refuse to be them. 97% of the world works for the 3% that refuse to be them.
Yeah. Because most individuals don't want to raise a level of awareness, for example. And here's the thing. More individuals get paid to work for those who get paid to think.
More individuals get paid to work
for those who get paid to think.
Wow.
See, living a 5-day weekend lifestyle, you get paid to think. Because the most important thing is this, right? You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid by the amount of value you bring to that hour.
Wow. Okay, speaking of that, I heard a quote. This was maybe back in the year 2001. I don't know what it is today, but if it was this in 2001, it's probably even greater. In America, for every $1 that's earned by an employee, the company makes $8 off of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's entrepreneurs that will lubricate the American economy. And you've got every president who said, I'm going to be a jobs president. Forget about being a jobs president. How about being an entrepreneur president?
Right.
More individuals becoming entrepreneurs. Giving them what? Look, Singapore, right? The country of Singapore. You've been there. We've done events there.
Several times.
Singapore was, about 60 years ago, was just basically, it was jungle.
Right.
It It was, and right now, Singapore is probably the most wealthiest nations in the world.
Right.
Not through oil, but from thinking outside of the box. Government said, do what? If you've got a business, an idea, they're going to give you like an interest-free loan for 24 months. They inspire what? Entrepreneurialism. Because, look, 1 in 6 Americans is on food stamps.
1 in 6 Americans.
1 in 6 Singaporeans is a multi-millionaire. That country is only 60 years old.
That's what you call a clue.
Yeah.
You can't argue that.
And you say this, success leaves clues.
Yep.
Why? Because it's that spirit, that environment of what? Entrepreneurialism.
Success leaves clues, but so do failures.
Yeah, and I love failures. My biggest, the cradle of every mistake was my best failures. And when I interview anybody, when I'm finding a good quarterback to run a business, for example, I don't ask about accreditation or any qualifications or some paper in their office. They will only basically impress their mother, for example.
Yeah.
Because we know that college is basically a 4-year-long summer camp.
Sure. Right.
I asked him, what are your 3 greatest failures and obstacles, and how did you get out of it? I want to hear the stories where you were on that wealth superhighway and then you got stuck in a cul-de-sac. I want to know how you got out of that cul-de-sac. How many individuals have a home and their driveway is circular and you're going round and round and round and round, doing the same thing over and over again?
Expecting a different
I
result.
want to know your story, how you got out of that.
Wow.
That's the number one question I ask any person. I want to know their failures because, you know what? I want to see how creative, how you think outside of the box. Do you exhibit behavioral flexibility, for example? And
Behavioral flexibility.
yeah, like neuroplasticity means, you're able to mend, change, and alter your faculty
Sure.
of your thinking. A lot of individuals, by 28, they're pretty much hardwired because 50% of your, if you want to call it your intellectual engineering, is from your parents.
Right.
And 50% is your environment, for example, your friends. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you how rich you're going to be by changing the way you think. So my point is this. Be vibrant, be creative, think outside of the box, and expand the runway of your life. I mean, you got runways at airports. The longer the runway, the bigger the plane that can land. Well, the bigger the plane is no different to how much wealth you want to generate. By extending your runway, more wealth can be generated, right? Your bandwidth. I mean, we've all got hard drives over here where it's limited to what? 128 gig? Or,
Yeah.
Hey, we're running on about 5 or 10% gig, and we've got a hard drive with terabytes and terabytes of data. Why? Because we're institutionalized and we've been programmed. See, we've been programmed. There is a system out there that has been purposely designed to make sure you live in a 5-day work week so you can be ecstatic on a Friday and be depressed on a Monday.
Wow.
It's been designed that way, but you know what? We just accept it. See, once upon a time, we would challenge things. We would challenge the status quo. But now, we've become such a subservient individual in life, and we don't question.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we don't question, we don't push the bar, we don't challenge the boundaries?
Because I believe academia has extinguished that passion.
Wow.
Because you know what? Academia set up a grading system. An A means you can do this. A C means you're relegated to that. And you know what? In your impressionable years, neuroplasticity once again, you've now been conditioned to that type of thinking where you're a failure. And then when you start to think like a failure, you start to think, well, these are the things that you can do in your life. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example over here. First 10 years of my life, medically confined to my bedroom. I was sick. I never went to school until about age 10. I was too sick. But you know what? In retrospect, that was the best 10 years of my life because I wasn't framed by the academic system. I was able to create my own curriculum, not the government curriculum in your most formative years of what? Human development. And I tell people, it's never about IQ. A lot of parents these days, they make a big fuss about IQ. IQ can wait. I don't give a shit whether a child can write his name or not. Build the emotional EQ.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's your foundation. I mean, you and I have been to Italy together.
Yep.
Remember that trip?
Yes.
2008. Lean Tower Pisa.
Yeah.
Okay, why does it lean? I mean, first of all, for those who don't, in Italy, there's a town called Pisa, and there's a famous tower that actually leans. And if it wasn't for this tower leaning...
He left me behind on that trip.
You're on the ship still. I actually rented a vehicle and just drove like man.
And we had walkie-talkies and every now and then I'd hear your walkie-talkie come in and then it would go out. And I'm like, I can't find him.
That was a great trip, actually.
That was a good trip.
But why does the leaning? Why does the tower in Pisa lean? See, it took structural engineers 850 years to finally realize why the damn thing actually leans. And you know what? It was built on contaminated soil.
Oh, wow.
It took 850 years. But you know what? Here's the thing. The tower was about this high. And then to basically factor in the lean, they built it on the opposite end. So they can try and balance itself. And over 100 years, they kept on adding to it to compensate for the lean. But it was built on contaminated soil. Think of that. That's education today, academia.
Wow.
I mean, you're going out there. Look, with all best intentions, I get it. You want to provide for your family. You know, you want a nice car. You want to go from an American car to a European car. I get it.
You get it.
But you know what? You're building your life on a contaminated base because you weren't equipped with the right foundation. The foundation is your emotional EQ. Then start to erect your skyscraper. Skyscrapers now, they spend 2-3 years on what? The foundation, solidifying it. And then they can do like one floor every week, one floor of the skyscraper every week.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, 2 personalities that have influenced your life, past and present, someone who's gone, they're no longer here. What individual, because the more you talk, the more I want to understand why you think the way that you think. And I know that up until 10 years old, you were, in the house, you were confined because of medical conditions. So obviously your imagination started to grow.
Absolutely.
You had an opportunity just to think outside
When
your
you're
four
forced
walls.
to think, you start to really get creative.
So you got creative.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Past inspiration. Give me a personality.
Tintin.
Tintin.
Okay. For anybody, okay, I'll have it explain Tintin.
Hold on, is that a cartoon character?
It's a cartoon character.
Okay.
Yes, it is. You're probably like thinking, who was it? Napoleon Hill?
Like,
was it this? Okay. No, it was a cartoon
Something
character.
I would say.
Yeah. Okay, for those who don't know who Tintin is, Tintin, just Google it, okay? Tintin was this roving reporter who went on most craziest adventures around the world, He would rescue slaves in Africa. He would go to space. He'll sleep with mummies in pyramids. He'll go down to shipwrecks. And he always had that, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones meets James Bond.
Right.
And I connected to that. And it's amazing how like deja vu moments.
Right. I'm thinking of things like, do you remember, I don't know if they had it in Australia, but we had a cartoon character on Saturday mornings that would come on and sing a song, "You're a yuck mouth because you don't brush." Like, you are what you eat from your head down to your feet.
Absolutely.
And that became a very core message of mine, speaking from stage, on accident. I didn't know, but I would begin to think that my mindset was, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
Whatever you put in, whatever goes in your head the most, ultimately will come out of your mouth and manifest in your
and
life.
the same individuals that you basically network with,
Absolutely.
It's your formative years of development. You know?
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, well, hold on, that sounds really wonderful if I was 10, but I'm 35.
Okay.
I've got $30,000 in credit card debt. I'm renting, and I've just lost my job.
So what do you say to that person?
Easy. 5-day weekend. Start to reframe, repatriate money that is illegally owed to you,
Sure.
whether you're overpaying in insurances and taxes. The idea is give yourself an instant pay rise.
Absolutely.
Next,
Go ahead.
we start to think outside of the box and look at other means through entrepreneurial strategies to start increasing your income profile. See, it doesn't take money to make money, but it takes money to invest. So we'll show you how to make money.
And that's in the book.
Absolutely. Then
It doesn't take money to make money. It takes money to invest.
Then with the money you just generated, you use that to invest. And that's what's going to give you that passive income. And with passive income, I'm talking about like building your passive income ratio to like a 2-to-1 ratio. So for example, if your life expense is about $4,000 or $5,000 a month, you need to be generating at least $10,000 a month. Now think of this, right? If your passive income is generating twice the amount of expenses, how much anxiety and stress levels has a 5-day weekend alleviated in your life?
Absolutely.
That means whatever you generate from your active income, you can use 100% of that for what? Investing. So your passive income services your lifestyle, credit card debt, rent, expenses, school fees, whatever. And then whatever you generate from your active.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm learning right now. That's why you see me.
Active,
I'm in student zone.
Yeah, active means it's 100% reliant on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% reliant on you for you to turn up. Whether you have to report to like a workstation, a cubicle, or a factory floor, it's reliant on you. Passive means it doesn't require you.
That's right, 100%.
It doesn't require you.
And you taught me that a long time ago.
Absolutely.
I was making passive income when I met you.
Yeah.
But I was making it based on my definition of what I thought passive income was.
Absolutely.
Now I am truly making passive, regenerating income on a monthly basis. And I remember those days when I met you, I was maybe just now turning 32, somewhere in that time zone, or 30. And one of my favorite quotes that I say is, I surround myself around the thinking that outthinks me. And people are watching this right now, and you're in my studio on my show, but you're doing more of the talking. And I want you guys to learn something from that. Because when someone walks into the room that has the power of expanding your mindset and expanding your ability to think outside your own comfort zone, shut up.
Yeah.
Because that's where you learn to grow. And I've learned so much by watching you.
I tell everybody, always make sure always put yourself in a very awkward situation.
Always.
Always. Because if you're the smartest person in your group of friends, find a new friend.
You have to.
I want to be the individual I want to be in the orbit of individuals that are transmitting the highest frequency of wisdom at all times. I want to feel awkward. I want to feel uncomfortable. Because that's when you start to what?
That's what
you
I tell people.
Expand your thinking.
I want to be the guy in the room that's afraid to talk.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to talk in the room, that means you're not the smartest person in the room.
And by the way, how do you know that? If in your circle of friends, if you're doing all the talking, you're the smartest person.
Check out. You got to check out.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of that, number 2.
Yeah.
Right now, personality still alive that inspires you.
Wow. There's so many. I can't just factor one. But as a child, we've discussed tension.
Give me 3.
I would say probably right now. And I'm talking about like pushing the boundaries of like technology and humanity. Probably Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, I knew that.
Right, because he thinks outside of the box.
Yeah.
Where a lot of Americans have become very institutionalized.
Have you met him yet?
What's that? Yes.
You haven't met him? I figured that.
A lot of individuals have become very contracted, very contrived with the thinking. He pushes the boundaries. He pushes the envelope. Why? Because it's always been available to push that particular envelope,
100%,
for example.
100%.
And a lot of individuals, it comes back to your thinking. You're going to magnify it. How are you going to illuminate? How are you going to optimize your thinking? And what I like to do is like, when I went down the Titanic, people go, what? You can go down there. Why? I worked out a way. When I went to Egypt, because I wanted to sleep in a sarcophagus in the pyramid.
I think I called you.
The oldest man-made structure on planet Earth. I wanted to sleep in there overnight.
The oldest man-made structure
on the planet Earth.
On planet Earth.
5,000 years old was my private residence for the night. I was in there alone, and I had the audacity to give them my criteria, my terms and conditions. I said, I want lights out, and I want to be locked up inside. And I want to sleep in the same sarcophagus that Napoleon, that Alexander the Great, Herodotus, Sir Isaac Newton slept in. And I slept in there. My point is, just be crazy. When people, look.
What does that do for you?
Okay, I'll tell you what it does. If people don't tell me I'm crazy enough, then I'm too mainstream.
If people don't tell me I'm crazy enough, then I'm too mainstream.
Yeah.
Mainstreams is 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
So you refuse to be mainstream.
I despise it.
You refuse.
Yeah, I'm a contrarian. I will always change the polarity of the conventional thinking. And I tell people, don't be tethered to conventional thinking because it sucks. And I already know the results of what how your life is going to turn out in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. My point is this. Always be the contrarian. Always feel awkward in the marketplace. Why do you want to learn? You want to absorb. Exponential thinking, but it has to be based around your life because when you focus on your life, you now have emotional skin in the game, the emotional EQ.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times when we hear you got to learn, expand your what most people think just right off the top is I need more time.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
And the whole point of learning things
time.
is so you can buy your own time back.
Yeah, you can warp time.
You can warp time.
You can warp it. That is in WARP. You can warp it. I'll give you a perfect example over here, right? If you've ever been in a car accident, when somebody's watching a car accident basically unfold live, it happens really, really quick. Mm-hmm. But if you're in that car and you see a car coming from your rearview mirror, it's about to hit you, it's like everything slows down. But you know what? You can warp time and you can manipulate it to your advantage by understanding the principles.
Wow.
Because we're talking about what? This is buying back. See, you're buying back your economic freedom. It sounds weird. But when you really think about it, we're financial slaves. To what? To the system over here. I mean, like I said, 1 in 6 Americans on food stamps. I mean, it's the greatest country. Look, I came here as a young 17-year-old chasing the American dream. I was seeking what? Inspiration. I wanted to be mentored. Why? Because I had gone as far as I could in my respective country. Most people would just rest on basically sit on their laurels and just accept things. See, but I challenged. I asked questions. Adults don't ask questions. We're too statement orientated now. That's why kids are awesome. Kids, they ask questions. They harass you with questions.
Absolutely.
Why is that? But when they do that, they're questioning. They're challenging the status quo. But what do parents do? They go, oh, shut up. Take your iPad.
We put them back in the box.
Yeah.
We want to protect them in that box. My son, just last night, 7 years old, he can't drink juice after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
No juice. Because we don't want him wetting the bed. Based on the past, he's wet the bed. So I walk into the kitchen last night. He has an apple with a straw trying to puncture the apple. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm going to get some apple juice. And my wife looks at him and goes, creative.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. It's pushing and it's stretching what the norm is supposed to be. I believe that we live a life, we're dancing to a music that we've never even challenged. We don't even challenge the music. We just freaking dance. I love this because, you know, and he's going to tell you how to get the book. And I think it's on the New York Times bestseller right now.
Well, it's approaching the NYT bestseller list.
Hey.
It's a Wall Street Journal. But
Wall Street Journal approaching the New York Times bestseller. And that's why we're doing the show. We're going to push it to that. So I love the fact that you confessed that you are disrupting the norm. To me, if I were watching this interview right now for the first time, and I looked at this and I said, I've been dancing to the 5-week work week
You've been dancing
too
to
long.
somebody else's tune.
Yeah, I've been dancing too long. So how do I adjust that music that I'm dancing and I don't even know I'm dancing?
It's financial cacophony, you know. You got to like dial into a frequency that it's harmonically balanced. Why? Because you're buying back control. See, I love control. When you're in control of your life, you have greater what? Understanding. And in relation to what you bring to the table. See, there's only 2 things in life that I cannot control, and I know that for a fact. Most people will say death and taxes, right? That's tethered into conventional thinking.
Yeah.
I know in my model of the world, I can't control weather, and I cannot control traffic. But everything else in my life, I'm in total control of. And we're talking about life. Well, hold on here, you're going to die. Well, hold on here. Let me tell you here. Let's talk about death. And it's really important because when you talk about creating a legacy, see, I want to live as long as I can. And I will live a very, very long time. But this is conventional thinking, right? Most people die on time.
They die on time.
You know why? Because they've had 10, 20, 30, 40 years of demographics, data, radio, television saying when the life expectancy of a male and the life expectancy of a female is. And you know what? We've had so many years of absorbing and internalizing that we die on what?
Wow.
We die on time.
So we're obedient to somebody else's definition.
Absolutely. But my point is this. If you don't know when you're supposed to die, how do you know when you are going to die? I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. My mother's village is a place called Orofdopolo in Greece. You see, a Mediterranean, right? The youngest person in this village right now is 89. The youngest person.
The youngest person in a village in Greece.
In his village in Greece. They don't get any radio reports, news reports saying the life expectancy. The youngest person is 89. 1/3 of the village is a centenarian, lived past 100. My grandmother...
1/3 live past 100.
You go to the cemetery, the tombstones, 3 digits, baby.
3 digits. Oh, wow.
Because nobody told them. My point there is, you know, our thinking is so conventional. We've been sold. It's like, you know, like I said, we've been indoctrinated. We go to school. Look, we go out there, get a job. Okay, so we've been trying to get a job. To get a better job, you're going to university, which is a 4-year-long summer camp.
Sure.
We've already realised that. And now...
Where the banks capitalize.
You got young kids in their mid-20s. They got $150,000, $200,000 student loans. They graduate with a mortgage, but with no house.
Wow.
No house, but they've got a mortgage. And even if they go bankrupt, they can't get out of that debt. And now they're working until 32, 33 years of age to try and pay off an interest.
Just to start their life.
Yeah.
To break even.
It's insane. I mean, you've got 400,000 individuals that have come out of the college or university system unemployed. And they're doing something completely different to what they just graduated with.
Let me say this. I have at least 30 individuals that work with me directly in over 30 countries around the world that are millionaires, that are worth millions. And you guys always ask me, Johnny, what do we do now that we have accumulated wealth? Get this book. Really get this book. Because I believe that the mark that we leave in the world is what we share with other individuals. I don't want to die working, but I do want to die watching my work.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to outlive you.
Something that's going to outlive you. It's going to outlive you. You know? And you know the hardest thing is? Making money is easy as far as I'm concerned. Keeping it is a lot more difficult.
Absolutely.
Something that very few people talk about. So the book is structured, keep more money. Mm-hmm. That is monies that are legally owed to you. Make more money via entrepreneurial strategies that are for free.
Sure. You've taught me that. You've taught me that several times.
Make more money and then power up, which is basically, it's the amplification. It's your beliefs and your drive, your ambition, it's the enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. Look, I love energy. I'm a very energetic person. I'm very animated. But you know what? Do I drink Red Bull? No. I am just excited about life. That is my source of energy.
Absolutely.
When you're exuberant, when you're invigorated, mm-hmm. I mean, people are just, they see your passion. And you can't bullshit passion. It's an emotion. That means you have emotional skin in the game and you're excited to share a message. This is a message, and my plan is to amplify the signal of this book. And this book will transcend multiple languages, multiple borders around the world.
Amplify the signal.
Everyone has a signal. How loud is your signal?
Wow.
Who's hearing your signal? I mean, how many individuals are you shaping? How many individuals are you inspiring? Are you pivoting to something else greater than yourself, for example? Or do you keep the same group of, for example, whether it's negative associations, negative friends, or being subservient to an individual who pays you by the hour?
Wow. So our 15-minute interview is fastly approaching 1 hour. So, so I want to maximize the time. We've got about 5 minutes left here in the Wealth Development Club. Very seldom, or if never, have I allowed somebody to come into my show and just take it over. But I understand the power of sitting back and knowing when a revolutionary teaching or thought process is going forth. And this message is so much greater than you.
Yeah, it is.
It's so much greater than me. And sitting back and just listening to it and empowering people to get this book. I don't know if I've ever endorsed a book in my studio before. But I'm telling you, if you really want to know the first time I made $1 million in 12 months, it's directly linked back to him. Over $32 million that I've made since I've met you. Over $500 million revenue since we've met. Yeah. I didn't make international money before I met you.
Yeah.
It happened all in that exact same year. It traces back to that meeting. We've been able to sit on airplanes together. You fall asleep before he even takes off. But eventually he wakes back up. And I've never seen anybody fall asleep so fast on an airplane. But he wakes back up and we have these conversations. And I slowly start to realize that the conversations that we have will impact my children's children. Yeah. You've been that type of brother to me. He is so incredibly unselfish with his knowledge and wisdom. And I don't want to ask you how much money you've made because I know that it's light years above what I've made. But I will say this. Not once have I ever thought about Nik Halik in a space where he's just all about money. He teaches money. He teaches the concept of currency on a global scale. But you can tell in his teachings and his writings and his seminars that there is a why behind it. There's a WHY. There's a reason and a purpose. And I really do believe you when you say you really, really, really want to dismantle. You want to disrupt.
I want to destroy.
What has been taught to be norm.
I've declared war, and I'm the lead fighter in this too. And the thing is,
I declared war. That's my type of language.
Yeah, I want to destroy the whole thing. I truly believe that we need to do what's been transpiring the last 20, 30 years. It ain't working.
No.
In the next couple of years.
That's what you call a clue.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, it's never worked. All they do is they just basically kick the can down the road.
The way you work is not working.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way we're working is not working. It's the 5-day weekend. How do they find you?
Look in all leading bookstores, airports, Amazon, but just grab a few copies, share the love and the passion, inspire individuals, and like Johnny Wimbrey says, probably the fastest way to expedite more fun, more freedom, more fulfillment, and more so importantly, more quality time with your family and your friends.
Wow.
See, here's the thing. It's not just the money. It's not the materialism. Because here's the thing, and you know me very, very, very well. Whatever I generate in my life, through all my businesses around the world, all my business dealings, I use it to fund my lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not to fund my garage or a bigger house. It's to fund my lifestyle, whether it's spending tens of millions of dollars to go to space or hundreds of thousands of dollars to have lunch on a ship at Titanic. My point is, it's your mosaic. It's a tapestry of your life. I mean, how will you be remembered? That's the most important thing. Seek experiential living, live life in your own terms and conditions, and this is how you increase the quality of your life. And then when you've got your shit together, inspire individuals. Be their lighthouse, be their beacon of light, and then you'll also be their hero as well.
Wow. It's Nik Halik, guys. The 5-day weekend. I want you to end on this. What is your definition of freedom?
Economic freedom is basically being in a position to be able to afford anything the world has to throw at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I tell people that my definition of freedom is being able to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, as much as you want to do it, until you're done doing it, and you never had to ask permission to start or to stop or finish, or to start or finish. And you actually introduced me to that life. So the 5-day weekend, this goes back about 12 years of what you've been teaching me.
Absolutely.
And I'm a walking, talking billboard of your teaching. So
Awesome.
love you, brother.
Hey, thank you, and thank you for taking time out to listen to this too. So, but
Check them out.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you
Do you
guys.
currently love what you do? Are you doing what you love? Have you designed a life you don't need a vacation from? Why slave away at a desk performing energy-deficient work and regurgitating email responses all day? Working a 40-hour work week in a cubicle, office space, or factory floor never does really feel like freedom for anybody. Most workers feel that their life is put on hold and that their job doesn't allow them to enjoy the rest of their life. Being at the mercy of an employer who has the capacity to fire you anytime and dictate how you spend your 8 hours each day. Sadly, the biggest casualty of 40-hour employment is time and money, and the fact that you will never earn your way to financial freedom. If you're born poor, it's not your mistake. But if you die poor, it is your mistake. Discover the 5-day weekend formula, freedom to make your life and work rich with purpose. With a 5-day weekend lifestyle, you can declare your entrepreneurial independence and earn your freedom. It's an entirely new outlook on life. You take an extended time out of your daily life to travel the world on your own terms, often becoming location and freedom independent. 3 more days of freedom. A 5-day weekend life is an unconventional way of looking at life. It's not a trend, but a value adjustment. A 5-day weekend life isn't about finding yourself. A 5-day weekend is about creating yourself. Your entrepreneurial 5-day weekend quest for freedom affords you the declaration of economic self-rule with unlimited earning possibilities. Are you ready to turbocharge your 5-day weekend life and live your true financial potential? Know the rules of the money game and play it better than everyone else. Keep more money, make more money, grow more money. Add 3 more days to your weekend. Learn how at 5dayweekend.com.
Hi, this is Johnny Wimbrey, and I want to invite you to step into the Wealth Development Club with me. I'm committed to awakening your inner wealth and increasing your financial wealth at the exact same time. So stay focused and join me in the Wealth Development Club with your host, Johnny Wimbrey.